Hello there and welcome. This is Terry Magalakis presenting to you episode 9 of the Thought Movement Program. And I'd like to say thank you so much for being a part of this 11-part series of the Thought Movement Program podcast. And basically with today's episode, we'll be talking about Law VIII, which is called the Law of Forgiveness. And to get started, I'd like to say a quote. I'd like to quote Mark Twain about forgiveness. And basically Mark Twain had said that forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. And while you listen to that quote, what does it really mean to you when you hear it? Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. Really take that in with yourself when we go through today's episode. And to move on from Mark Twain, move on to Amanda Butler, who basically, I found something, what she had wrote that appeals to everyone who's wanting to understand the law of forgiveness. And she says that, imagine waking up one morning and there is a glow about you. Burdens of the past have been lifted. The heaviness of your heart have been lightened. You no longer are filled with pain, grief, anger, or resentment, and your spirit feels free to live once again. You feel an energy that allows you to love and create from your brilliant diamond essence. You may ask, can this be? How can this happen for me? And from this, for whom is ever studying this material must accept the truth that any idea that is first arrived is from within the mind. Since the body is moved by the mind, that makes the governing thought from within the most dominating factor that controls any human being on the face of the earth. And basically, for the law of forgiveness, we must go to the other side when it comes to the law of forgiveness. We must go through thoughts of sin. And what Raymond Hollowell said, he goes, when we have dominating thoughts of negativity that are evil thoughts, we are working in sin. When we hold guilt, hatred, or grudges, it defiles our body, our entire immune system. Now, when we think of sin, we think of our conscious choices that we have made over time that we know very well is very wrong. There is no mistake when it comes to sin. When we sin, we know what we are doing. What sin also represents is the violation of the law, not just this law alone of law of forgiveness, but throughout many, many laws. And to liberate oneself out of the sin, and a healthy option is to a correcting or adjustment so that we are in alignment with the law of forgiveness. And basically the law of forgiveness corrects our sins. And when we forgive, we are letting go of the sinful thoughts and actions that we have committed or others have committed onto us. And let me remind you that with sinful thoughts that we are thinking are all negative. And it can rearrange from a lot, it can range from a lot of emotion, but mostly are harmful towards ourselves and onto others. And the question I'd like to ask you is, why do you think your body goes through your very negative phases? It's all because of our sin that enters into our mind and gets expressed through our body. And when we have a ruling sinful thought, we start to become conditioned and accustomed to that sin alone. So the question is, how do we replace sin once it has taken over our mind and body? And this answer is very, very simple. And believe it or not, we must forgive. Not only ourselves, but those who have sinned against us. A certain majority think it's this or that. They try and steer away that it has to be another answer, which puts them in more of a denial of the actual truth. Find the true source of the sin and simply let go and be free. It's very simple. If it prompts something that is negative, then you know it's a sin to even think of it and put it into action. And here's also something else I'd like you to understand. The bigger the man, the much more superior man is great enough in his own will to forgive for something he or she has or has not done towards another person or who does not forgive them, if that makes sense to you. And an example of this, I'd like to bring an example that I do believe it would really help you understand of, how could I see law of forgiveness being put at work? And the greatest moment in history was when the time that Pope John Paul II survived an assassination, right? Now, the last book written by John Paul II in 2005 called Memory and Identity recounts a historic forgiveness visit of the Pope to his Turkish terrorist Mehmet Ali Agha, right, in the prison after he survived the fatal assassin attack by the Turkish terrorist. Now, according to Pope John Paul II in his book, what he had said was, we talked for a very long time. Ali Agha is, as everyone says, a professional assassin. which means that the assassination was not his incentive. Someone else thought of it for himself. Someone else gave him the order. And the attack on John Paul II took place in St. Peter's Square, Rome on May 13th, 1981, when the Pope was in a motorcade. Now, Akar shot the Pope 6 times at a closer range, twice in the stomach, once in the right arm, and on the left arm as well. Now, the Pope bled in open after the attack. Now, as the Pope recounts the moment of the attack, he said, "I had a feeling that I would survive. I was in pain. I had a reason to be afraid, but I had this strange feeling of confidence. And oh my Lord, this was a difficult experience." And Pope John Paul II survived the attack after emergency surgery. Now, the threat to Pope John Paul II's life did not change his belief in forgiveness. These were his motivations to meet with this would-be assassin, Ali Akar, in Christmas period about, I do believe, it was December 27th, 1983, 2 years after the assassination attempt. Now, according to a source called Luis Mendes, basically he had quoted that forgiveness happens inside the person doing the forgiving. It heals our pain and resentment before it does anything for the person we forgive. They might never know about it. And from the man himself, Pope John Paul II, he quoted that forgiving from the heart can sometimes be heroic. Thanks to the healing power of love, even the most wounded heart can experience the liberating encounter with forgiveness. And as the Pope arrived to Ali Akar's cell in prison in Italy, he looked at his would-be killer in the eye and shook his hand, and Akar kissed John Paul II's hand. And the two talked quietly for 21 minutes. And after the 21 minutes, Pope John Paul II said, "What we talked about will have to remain a secret between him and me. I spoke to him as a brother who I had pardoned and who has my complete trust." And after the meeting, the two shook hands, and the Pope gave Akar Ali a small gift in a white box, a rose, I do believe is a rosary in silver and a mother of pearl. And from all this, a quote that he had said was, "Real peace is not just a matter of structures or mechanicalisms. It rests above all on the adoption of a style of human coexistence marked by mutual acceptance and a capacity to forgive from the heart. We all need to be forgiven by others, so we must all be ready to forgive. Asking or granting forgiveness is something profoundly worthy of every one of us." And according to Senator Carlo Bo, the Pope intends to say that if we really want peace, we must make the first step. We must forgive offences and offer the bread of love and charity. So overall, from this basically visit from the Pope John Paul II to his would-be assassin Ali Akar from the assassination attempt back in 1981, I want to basically give you a question. What did Jesus teach the Pope more so about forgiveness when it came to that visit? And basically this goes to Raymond Hollywell's quote, "If ye forgive the sin, the effect of such an act of forgiveness will become absorbed with natural and healthy ideas, much the same as the blackest of nights is absorbed with the dawn of light." Even the Pope quoted the similar sort of a reference when it comes to the law of forgiveness. He says that forgiving from the heart can sometimes be heroic. Thanks to the healing power of love, even the most wounded heart can experience the liberating encounter with forgiveness. And basically, with forgiveness overall, to conclude, to replace negative thoughts, we simply must make positive thoughts a priority. Since the originating place for thought is within the mind, we must start there in order for us to be healed, so our world can be healed as well. In order for us to be forgiven, we must forgive. In order to let go of sin, we must be liberated by letting go of what is not serving us and the originating sinful thought. We must ask for forgiveness, but also recognize that we are actually forgiving. And since everything is derived from the mind, we have to get the heart to connect with the idea and the thought of forgiveness. When we take the idea of forgiveness and take it to the next level, which is the heart, we come from a place of love and passion. Then you know when you truly do forgive. You feel it through your entire body. And to conclude on today's episode, I'd like to say thank you very much for listening into the law of forgiveness. Stay tuned for the next episode of episode 8 of the Thought Movement Program. Until then, thank you very much.